Hello, welcome to Cinema Savvy, and we are back with I won't say it's the final review. We've still got Roma to review tomorrow. Roma will be the final one of all the movies that I will be able to watch before the Academy
At
Awards. There's
least the
been a whole lot
final
of
one
movies.
for tonight.
Yes, the final review for tonight, and
Because he needs to eat and sleep.
I need to eat and sleep, and oh boy, is this going to be a doozy. It's probably going to be a very short doozy, but the film that we're reviewing
Good night,
tonight,
everybody.
the film that we're reviewing tonight is Isle of Dogs, which is the stop-motion animated film directed by Wes Anderson.
Isn't it weird that the title sounds like I Love Dogs?
I think that was probably intentional. I think that was intentional. But oh boy, does this have a cast? Like, if we're going by the cast alone,
He does not love Wes Anderson. Let's say it now.
I'm gonna go through the cast and then I'll get into that bit because I think that needs to be said at the beginning. But the cast of this movie is included, but not limited to, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Bill Murray, Jeff Goldblum, Ken Watanabe, Frances McDormand, Harvey Keitel, Scarlett Johansson, and Tilda Swinton. They are a few of the names in this movie. So it's an incredible cast, incredible voice talent. Now, the introduction, which you just mentioned. I hate Wes Anderson. I've seen a number of his movies, and I honestly can't stand them. He's just a director that doesn't speak to me. I don't find his movies particularly whimsical, charming, intelligent, funny. Everyone seems to think his movies are hilarious, and I give each movie a fair shot with only just like a slight hint of dread knowing that it's a Wes Anderson movie. They're all the same. I've come out of every single one of these movies. Moonrise Kingdom, Grand Budapest Hotel, Fantastic Mr. Fox, this movie. They're all the same. I like deadpan humor. Believe me, I like deadpan humor. Yorgos Lanthimos' film this year, The Favourite, which is one of my favourite Oscar movies from this year. He also directed The Lobster. That also has very deadpan humor and is a very acquired taste movie. I love that film. I like dark comedies. There's something about this humor that just feels off. It feels boring. Like the characters soundboard, the movie moves at a very slow pace. It feels boring, and therefore the only reaction I can have to the movie is boredom and wanting to walk out of this movie like 20 to 30 minutes in. And I said to you before we went live, like I could have shut this movie. I was waiting. I was like watching the seconds tick by on this movie to hit the credits. I could have shut this movie off before halfway, and my opinion of this movie would not change at all. Now, the reason that I'm reviewing this film, I realize that this is a 2018 film. It came out, I think it came out a while back, actually. Didn't it come out in like March? Yeah, it came out in March for worldwide release, I believe. So it's almost a year old now at this point. It's been nominated for 2 Academy Awards. It's been nominated for Best Animated Feature and also Best Original Score. The guy who did the music is Alexandre Desplat, who's one of my favorite composers.
Love that composer.
The music didn't wow me in this film. It sort of matches the style, I will say that. Not that he's a bad composer or anything. As I said, he is one of my favorites, but it's very downplayed. It's very minimal. There's even a moment in this film that uses an excerpt of the Christmas song "I Believe in Father Christmas." I
think I read with my research about this film that it was inspired by like the Rankin Bass Christmas specials.
Mm-hmm. Wait, what was that? Sorry, about the Rankin Bass Christmas special. Sorry,
this film was like the whole kind of influenced by that style.
With the music or the film itself?
The film itself.
Right.
It also was influenced by the work of Akira Kurosawa.
So we do need to get onto that. So this movie is set in Japan and Japanese culture, and that has actually stirred up a lot of controversy regarding this movie.
Oh dearie.
But mind you, what fucking doesn't nowadays, right? So I mean, I can understand where people are coming from, especially if they are, Japanese themselves or have a fondness for that culture. They've basically highlighted the movie and argued that it falls victim to racial stereotyping, cultural appropriation, and things like that. It does kind of use a lot of the signifiers of Japan. You've got like mushroom clouds, you've got the volcano, you've got the neon-filled city, you've got sumo wrestlers, you've got sushi, you've got lotus blossom trees, you've got all of that stuff. What's worthy to note as well that a lot of this movie is in Japanese, in the Japanese language. I don't know if it's inherently grammatically correct Japanese, or if they've just sort of like used keywords for characters here and there. But
so it's like with Ariana Grande's tattoo, which means like barbecue grill.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't listen to Ariana Grande. Yes, we'll say yes, but it feels like it's the language they're using is Japanese, but it's very broken and grammatically incorrect Japanese. And the majority of the Japanese language in this film is intentionally not subtitled, which was weird when I was watching it.
I did a whole kind of like lecture on Orientalism. So with that kind of take that Wes Anderson has done, I mean, I don't have a problem if a filmmaker wants to do a film like set in Japan or about Japan, because the history of Japan is just something amazing, and Tokyo is one of the top places I want to go all the time and trying to learn Japanese. But you can't keep falling to the same kind of stereotypes of what's essentially known as the Orient. It just fucking sucks. I mean, these are actual like people that you're trying to represent, and you're meant to give them like a voice in the Western world, and you're just falling back on like decades old stereotypes and stereotypical places. I mean, you don't walk down like Tokyo City and run into a sumo wrestler on the street. You don't fucking do that.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of films do that. I mean, I can't rail against this movie completely. It didn't offend me, like, but then again, I don't get easily offended, but I can easily see why it would offend some people. Hell, I've got a load of my favorite animated films are from the Walt Disney Company, and like, do we even need to get onto a
yeah? I could do a whole spiel about why Aladdin is very problematic.
Yeah, like, definitely, yeah. But you know, it's an easy thing to do if you want
blue Will Smith.
Yeah. But it's an easy thing to do for animated companies, or just not just the animated companies. Obviously, it's the director's vision and everything like that. But if you want to say something set in Japan and you want to easily identify it with the viewer, then boom, there you go. You've got your cultural appropriation there, which I'm not a fan of and I'm not condoning. But this movie didn't offend me in that regard. I just thought it was a terrible movie. There is another character in it as well, a character that I absolutely couldn't stand. I'm just reading here. The character's called Tracy Walker, who. So I didn't even give the plot of this movie, did I, at the beginning? I don't
know.
Right, so I do need to set this in before I get into my next criticism of the film. So, set in a dystopian near future Japan, the story follows a young boy searching for his dog after the species is banished to an island following the outbreak of a canine flu. Very, very random subject matter to do a film on. And, it was quite quirky in that regard. And I was kind of with it for the premise if it had taken me on a interesting film filled with character and good humor and actually made me feel anything, which this movie didn't. So the character, this is getting onto the next criticism I have, the character's called Tracy Walker, and basically is it like the president of Japan? I don't know what the whole government thing is over there. The guy who's running Japan anyway.
Yeah, they do have a presidency. He
essentially created this. He's a lover of cats. He hates dogs. He pharmaceutically created this virus that he put into dogs because he wanted then to form a cover story to then have a reason to send them all off to a deserted island and then to eventually kill them. That's his plan. And this character called Tracy Walker, who's a white sort of geeky college girl, she leads a revolution and rolls up the crowd. She comes completely out of nowhere, this character, and I can't stand this character. And, she's leading this revolution to badmouth the president, essentially, and out the truth. And the film has been criticized for having a character that's basically a, quote, white savior.
Yeah, the white savior trope is very overused in orientalistic films, especially when it comes to, like, the older age of Oriental films, where like they would have like the white people that find this new world, and you have like the good native and the evil native, and it's just like fuck everything.
Yeah. And you know, again, like, I wasn't aware of these tropes. I guess I should be. I've seen a lot of movies. I should see these things.
Like I said, I can go into a whole spiel about them.
I just hated this character. She comes out of nowhere. She doesn't. I mean, she serves a purpose of the film, but that could have been given to any particular character. She shows up just for that one function, and I think that was very lazy writing. I just hated the writing of this movie. And the thing is, script-wise, I don't know if with like a different inflection, if you could make this film funny, if it wasn't so deadpan all the way through, if you gave some people more personality, more character, more sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? More get up and go kind of attitude in their delivery and their character, maybe, then maybe I would like this film. And I know that's kind of going against Wes Anderson then, because people will say, well, Wes Anderson is deadpan. Well, I'm sorry, but to me, that doesn't make a fun fucking movie. And this isn't a fun movie. This isn't a charming movie because it is just so dead. It feels like this movie's on life support and boom, it's just fucking hit deadline, and it's just that's how that's the only explanation I can think of how to describe my experience watching this movie. I hated every second of this movie. Let's get on to the anime.
There's a character called Atari.
Yep, there you go.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep, there you go.
You might as well just get a character named Sega.
That would have got a laugh out of me, actually. That would have got one laugh out of me. So this has been obviously nominated for Best Animated Feature. I'm a huge fan of stop motion animation. I love it. It's kind of, it's not quite as dead as traditional hand-drawn animation at this point, but you know, we still do get films that come out. We have the fantastic Leica Productions, which made one of my favorite films of Kubo and the Two Strings. Phenomenal movie. Please go and check that out if you haven't seen Kubo and the Two Strings.
Also, Coraline is amazing.
Coraline's great. Going to another company now.
Corpse Trolls isn't.
Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse Bride. I love stop motion animation. The Aardman Studios, for example, like the Wallace and Gromit. So
just go down to Bristle and like go into the Wallace and Gromit world. Not even just Wallace and Gromit, but like with Chicken Run, with Creature Comforts. Like all of those are just fantastic and just have this witticism about it. And I hope we're not just saying that just because they're British companies and we like British things.
No, well, I mean, Leica isn't a British company, you know. Like I can go for like stop motion companies everywhere. I'm not appropriating it just to the UK, but like the level of time that goes into that style of animation, it is, you know, people know how it works. You have a wire framed model or whatever within a set, you move it a fraction of an inch, record.
If you're really fascinated by stop frame animation, there's a museum in Bradford, funny enough, called the Bradford Media Museum, where they have like a whole section on animation, and in there they have one of the last surviving pieces from Aardman after the fire that happened, like nice. One of the last sets, which is a scene from The Wrong Trousers where Wallace is on the ceiling of the museum trying to get the diamonds. And it's a nice like kind of time capsule that's like kept in this museum, and it's just amazing. And there's even like there's some like old pieces from Ray Harryhausen, who is an absolute icon to me because of his work with like Jason and the Argonauts and the original Clash of the Titans.
Yeah,
I mean, hello, fucking big Medusa.
I believe Ray Harryhausen worked on the original King Kong, didn't he? I might be wrong.
No, he didn't. That's off to the misconception, but he was inspired by it, and that's how we got into it.
You know, like that old style of stop motion animation, obviously it has been refined over the years, but as you said, like in those movies, and I love those films, like his Creatures, Ray Harryhausen, and then before that with King Kong, it's a technique that has been used since almost like the beginning of cinema, it feels like. Now the animation in this, I do like it in the, and you get this with a lot of stop motion animated films, where you do see the movements and like where people have tangibly gone in and like moved that figure, and you get some irregularities here and there with the animation. However, it's not the most refined stop motion animation, and some people might argue that that's the style of it. It's very much akin to Wes Anderson's previous movie of Fantastic Mr. Fox, his previous animated movie with that.
Which, if I remember correctly, as a kid, I hated.
Yeah, it's again, it felt really boring to me. It deviated a lot from the source material, and it just lost the charm of that Roald Dahl novel. But that's a different
Pretty
review for
much.
another time. But just to me, I'm not a fan of Wes Anderson's stop motion animated style. I'm not sure which company he uses for it. It's got
I
produced
think I
by
remember correctly, it's like an Indian company.
Indian Paintbrush, the company's called, and Anderson's own company as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it looks very ragged. It looks very unrefined. I don't want to say unprofessional because I know, God knows how many hours the cast and crew, oh, sorry, the crew worked on this film to get it as, you know, to get it looking and to make this, to put this feature together in the first place. So I'm not taking away anyone's credit. It's just
want to
not,
check on like who produced this.
it's not a visually nice film to look at. And maybe that was the intention, but it seems like we keep saying that this is the intention. Oh, it's a boring film because it's meant to be deadpan. That's the intention. It's a very slow, laborious film. It's directed and structured to be that way. Does that make it a good film? The animation isn't refined and it's a bit scraggly here and there. And I know that the dogs are meant to be, you know, mangy and everything like that, but you could still get that across in, for example, Corpse Bride. Phenomenal stop motion animation. Kubo, phenomenal. When I look at that movie, I don't go, oh, that's a disgusting looking movie. I go like, oh, wow, look at the stop motion. This one, I just kind of go like, oh, you could have tidied that up. You could have done that. You could have done this here and there. And you know what? I'm not going to keep apologizing for this movie. I'm not going to keep apologizing for Wes Anderson and just going, just because I don't like it, that's how he styled it, therefore it's a work of art. No, I'm not going to do it.
You get a lot of like these kind of indie girls that are like, oh, Wes Anderson movies, they're so great, even though it's just like different ratio aspects. He keeps it on like a big elongated playing field.
Point of view shots a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you basically just like move the camera like an inch that way. Genius!
But it's just like those point of view shots, like I get it.
If that's what makes a great cinematographer or like a great director, then put Tommy was so up in a fucking pendulum.
But, you know, like I get a director having a given style. Tarantino, you watch a movie and go, that's a Tarantino shot. Kubrick had a lot of point of view shots where he'd keep the camera static, and that works for his movie. So I'm not going to say that that doesn't work for this, but I'm just tired of people saying like, oh, well, it's quirky, it's deadpan. And it's just like,
Edgar Wright is quirky, and you don't see him hating on it much.
Well, it's just like quirky and deadpan does not good movie make. You know, you can have
that needs to be like on a quote board somewhere.
You can have those qualities, but still have it be an engaging film. But again, I feel like I'm in the minority on this one. I was having a look at how well this film has done before and gone over with critics. And let me find. I know that Rotten Tomatoes isn't the be all and end all of critic sites to go by, but it's
got 82 on Metacritic last time I checked.
Rotten Tomatoes has it on 89% based on 311 reviews, so that's quite considerable. An average rating of 8 out of 10. And everyone seems to love it. They really do. And these kind of reviews go over with every single Wes Anderson movie. And I honestly don't know what I'm not seeing that everyone else is seeing. I just think it's a case that these movies don't speak to me. These just aren't my kind of movies. He's not my kind of writer. He's not my type of director. But even then, like, I've had directors in the past where I'm not particularly fond of their grand body of work, but they'll still make a movie that I really like. You're going to hate me forever with this, but Edgar Wright isn't one of my favorite directors. Like, I wasn't a big fan of Shaun of the Dead. Hot Fuzz had its moments, but I don't love that movie as much as most people do. Scott Pilgrim visually was stunning, but I didn't like that movie. However, Baby Driver came out, and Jesus Christ, that was like one of my favorite movies of that year. And again, like, I went in knowing that I wasn't the biggest fan of Edgar Wright beforehand, went in with an open mind, and came out loving that movie, singing its praises. It would probably be my top 5 of that year. So a director can make a good movie despite their style, even if you don't like it or their particular way of writing. But I have yet to find a Wes Anderson movie that I like. It just seems like he keeps making the same movie over and over again, just with a different skin on it. I don't know. Like this review, if anyone watches it, might get a bunch of dislikes, and you know what? Bring it on. If you're a Wes Anderson fan, be respectful though. And I realize I probably haven't been respectful, but I like to think that I'm open to other people liking his movies. I just don't like them myself. So if you are watching this and you are a Wes Anderson fan and you did like this movie, please, drop a comment and maybe get across of what I'm missing or your take on it, because I do like to open the comments up in the bottom and get a bit of a discussion going with these things. But for example, like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is so good, and that really needs to win Best Animated Feature, and I think that it will. I think it's got a good chance. But that to me, oh god, I hope not. Isn't Wreck-It Ralph 2 has been nominated, hasn't it? So there's a chance that could win, and that would be an absolute travesty if Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse loses to that film.
There will be a uproar.
Yeah,
bet your life on that.
But I mean, I've pretty much said everything I can on Isle of Dogs. Would I recommend this movie? I'm not the right person to say that. I'm really not. I couldn't stand this movie. It was a waste of, I don't even know how long. It felt like 2 hours. 101 minutes.
If you want to see an animated dog, I suggest this one instead.
Or go and watch All Dogs Go to Heaven, or
Oh, Burt Reynolds.
Any other dog movie other than this. Maybe not. What's that new dog movie at the cinema? A Dog's Tale, A Dog's Dream, whatever it's called.
A Dog's Purpose, A Dog's Life.
A Dog's Purpose. That's might be what it's called. Avoid that maybe, because that doesn't look like a good film. Yeah. No, I didn't like this movie. If you're a Wes Anderson fan, I'm guessing it's pretty much, adheres to all the tropes of all the other previous ones.
Praise to Wes Anderson, for he is the leader of the indie movie.
Because this has almost been out for a year, if you like Wes Anderson, you've already seen this movie, you've already made your opinion on it. I know that Tate didn't like this movie, and he is a Wes Anderson fan, and he didn't like this movie one bit. So, maybe there is that camp in the middle where you might be a fan of the director and just didn't care for this movie. I'm opening it up to you guys in the comments, though, now. Let us know what you thought of this movie. And maybe get a bit of a discussion going, a bit of a debate in the comments or something like that. I have 2 more movies to watch before Oscar season. I know that I haven't got around to every single movie, but I've watched like 90% of them. I've watched probably more this year than I have previous years.
Don't kill him, basically.
I've got 2 more movies to watch. I need to watch Roma and I need to watch Green Book. Green Book, we already have a review for up on the channel, which George did. So we just need to do a review on Roma now, which we should be going live tomorrow evening with. And then I just need to watch Green Book in my own time. So we're almost at Oscars. And then once those are done, I can take a breath. I can relax.
And then do the stream.
And then go and see Alita Battle Angel, which I still haven't watched yet, and that's been out for a couple of weeks now, and then a bunch of trailer reaction videos that I need to catch up with. So the party never stops on Cinema Savvy, so please hit that subscribe button, please hit the bell icon to stay updated with all of our content. And
will he get any sleep? Who knows?
I never get any sleep. And look,
I know, but I'm leaving them on suspense. That's what you're meant to do.
Tune in next week for the exciting conclusion. And be sure to look out for our times that we're going live for the Oscars live stream. Those times will be up on our social media links at some point, Facebook and Twitter. They're in the description down below. That'll do it from us.
As I said before, do not miss on their Oscar stream. I'm being serious about this. Do not miss on it. I
will be so high on caffeine. I will have snacks with me this time because I always forget to get snacks. I will have snacks and I'll try to not chew them too loudly into the microphone. But I do want to say big thank you.
Have you seen the? Have any of you seen the 2017 when they did the Oscar reaction to that? Because that one is the best one. Yes.
If you can, just like scroll towards the end when they announce Best Picture. That is definitely worth checking out. It's probably one of the funniest moments we've had on the channel so far. I do want to say big thank you to you, Naomi. You've been an absolute trooper this week, jumping on all these reviews with me, giving up your time to help me get across my thoughts on all these movies. I really do appreciate
I'm always here for that, so because I'm just having an existential crisis about my masters.
And I'm just having an existential crisis about life. Yeah, no, that's huge. Thank you to you for jumping on these. I really, really do appreciate that. And thank you to everyone in the comments as well that has jumped on these reaction videos, these reviews, sorry.
It's a reaction of us after the movie, not whilst it's going on.
I'm so tired. I'm all watched out on movies. I've watched so many movies this week to last me a goddamn lifetime, it feels like. But yeah, no, so that'll do it for the video tonight. Look out for our review on Roma tomorrow evening. So until then, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.